Hello, hello, hello. Welcome, everybody. Happy Friday. Hello, hello. Let me make sure we get this technology done the way it needs to be. I'm super excited to be here. We have a very special guest who I am so happy she will be here to talk to us about budgeting. So, thank you so much for joining us. Let me get all this technology going and let me welcome, everyone. I'm just making sure we have all of our things in place as we get ready for a very special guest today, Miss Crystal Frazier. She will be joining us as we get ready to talk about a near and fun topic. Most people don't like to talk about it. I like talking about it because I think it's important. Um, but more importantly, I know that we need to talk about budgeting, right, and the importance of budgeting. So, thank you so much for joining me today. I really do appreciate it. Let me go ahead and play my theme song. And so, as we're gearing up, more people are joining. Thank you so much for joining. We definitely want to have an amazing conversation as it relates to budgeting today. This is Financial Literacy Month. So I'm very excited for you all to be here. And one of the things I do want to make sure is that when you get ready to comment and or have any questions regarding, please make sure you give Facebook the rights in order to do so. So thank you so much for doing that. Now, as you all know, this is Financial Literacy Month. We're going to go ahead and get started. I wanted to jump right on in and let you know why this is a near and dear subject to me. What you all may not be able to see is that I'm wearing and rocking one of my coin swag shirts. And this is obviously for ladies, but men don't fear. We can probably find something for you. But this shirt that I'm wearing is a coins shirt, which basically is Proverbs 31:16, which talks about buying a field, right? And in order to buy a field, you have to do what? You have to have coins, you have to have money. So I made this shirt because at the end of the day, I am a real estate investor and I like to buy things and obviously make them better. But at the end of the day, in order to do that, you have to have your money, your coins, right? You have to budget for those things. So the reason why I'm saying I'm wearing that today is that I know that budgeting is super important, and my guest, Crystal Frazier, will talk about um, the reason why this budgeting is super important. Because at the end of the day, we're seeing more and more things as inflation is going up. We're seeing things as people are looking to want to get into real estate investment, as well as a host of other things. We know that budgeting is super important. So that's the reason why I thought we wear coin 31, which talks about buying a field. And that meant that in order for her to do so, she had to have her coin. So I've said enough. I want to definitely welcome our guest to our talk today and help you all understand the importance of budgeting. So let me bring her in. Hi, Crystal.
Hey
Thank you so
everybody, good morning, Brandy.
Good morning. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you so much for allowing and obviously being very flexible for to be here. So one of the things I wanted to obviously just jump right on in is tell everybody a little bit about you. Let's start there.
Well, thank you again for having me on your platform. I'm grateful. And so a little bit about me is I've been in accounting for probably over 20 years. I was a math major initially at Jackson State University, and then I had children very early, and so I started working, and I was working in an accounting firm, hired to be their office manager, and got a love for accounting. And eventually in my career decided that I wasn't going to make any real money unless I went back and got my degree. And so we did that. And so I've been in my field now for, like I said, over 20 years. I love what I do so much. I'll tell anybody I could do accounting probably in a wooden shed on the side of a road for free. But thank God that I don't do it for free. Amen.
Right, because we got to still pay bills.
Right. But just a little bit about my money history. My first, I came from a two-parent household. They were
Mhm.
middle class, and my first initial, I guess, lessons about money was my mother used to always tell me, we don't shop in stores we don't have credit card for. And so what she didn't tell me was that my father paid off her credit cards at the end of every month. And so it gave me a really a not so great start with credit and credit history. And
Mhm.
especially having children very early, it took me a minute to really kind of get my money uh, to work for me, if you will.
Mm.
But
Oh,
I think in the midst of this pandemic, um, the Lord really started to speak to me about investments. And it was something that
mm,
I didn't know much about. And so in the midst of this pandemic, when we first saw the stock market crash, I began to invest and play the stock
mm,
market. And that ignited another passion in me because I like games. I'm an accountant. I like games. I like puzzles.
mhm.
And so that kind of began uh, my real education in the stock market and investing.
Okay, so your stock market investment. Now, I'm going to go back a couple of things that you said that obviously you went to the I Love, so hello, alumni. But one of the things I want to be able to talk about is your early childhood that you just mentioned, your mother, right? And how she basically didn't give you all the information as it relates to accounting and obviously in budgeting and investing, but you had to learn that. Could you tell me, and for people that are listening, why we need to, as parents, of course, you just mentioned having children, I have children, but why we need to start early with budgeting and teaching our children how to budget? And number two, what would be the age for them to learn how to budget?
It's not a I don't think it's even an age. It's as soon as
Okay.
they can start doing chores and they can get allowance. I
Okay.
remember I was getting allowance when I was like 5 years old for cleaning up my room and picking up my dolls. So those are the ages that you need to really start and learn teaching children about money. And I want to make another point. Although I came out of a two-parent household,
Mhm.
and although education was always an expectation in my household, it does not matter the background. We all don't learn the right lessons about money. It
Okay.
doesn't matter where we come from.
Mhm.
Sometimes we think that if we have the right pedigree, we'll
Mhm.
do some different things in regards to our money. But if we don't learn correct lessons from an early age, it doesn't matter where we come from. Money will always be an issue. So
Mhm.
I think the best thing, is that we all start getting education
Right.
about our money and that we don't make assumptions with the people that we deal with concerning our money.
Exactly. That's good. That's a good point. You're right. I think once they understand, children in that regard know how money works in terms of, here, this is money. I know in our household I give our oldest chores and she makes money for that, and then we talked about what those next steps will look like in terms of getting a bank account and those things. But it's not until she understands the importance of money and then how she has to now start spending her own money. So I'm glad that you brought that up. um,
Absolutely.
so one of the things that you just mentioned, that I think you said during the pandemic, you got into real estate investment through stocks. Tell us what transpired through that.
I like the Breakfast Club, and so I listen to the Breakfast Club interviews quite often. Will I Am, which is a member of the Black Eyed Peas, was on the Breakfast Club, and he started talking about his artificial intelligence company and
Mm,
how he sat on this worldwide board for artificial intelligence. I never knew this. And he made a point. He said, our transportation is not going to look the same in the next 10 or 5 to 10 years. He said there are going to be cars that are going to be driving themselves. And of course, Charlemagne the guy said, I don't trust that. I don't trust that. I'd rather drive my car. And Will I Am said, when was the last time you flew? And he said, yesterday. And he said, do you think that the pilot was flying the whole time? And something clicked
mm,
in my
okay.
head. And so he talked about Uber in this interview. It's a great interview. I would admonish anybody to go find it, go back and look at it. He talked about Uber. And in the pandemic, Uber stock crashed. And when it crashed, everything crashed.
Right.
But when it went down to like $19. And I was talking to a friend of mine that goes to my church. And she said that she was praying and the Lord was dealing with her about the same stock.
Mm,
Well, you don't have to tell me twice about anything. So I posted it on my Facebook page.
mhm,
I said, everybody, I think it was $19.60 something. And I posted, I said, everybody right now, you have $20.
mm,
I would admonish you, go buy this stock today. Well, I bought a couple of them. Of course, I didn't have a lot of money, but I bought about 10, 15 shares. And Uber went up to like over $50,
mm.
double.
Yeah.
I think it almost tripled. And then I sold it. But that really got me into the mind of paying attention to what was going on. There's a lot of information that we're missing
Yes.
by way of the news because we don't watch it. There are a lot of information that we're missing because we don't really invest a lot in education. And I always say there are educational pieces that you can pay for, but a lot of education is free. And so I was watching the news, and then I noticed that our vice president at the time had made a
Mhm,
huge investment in this company called Moderna. And when he
mhm,
made the investment in Moderna, I said, wait a minute. I said, if
mm.
he's making this big investment in Moderna, I need to as well. And so I
Right.
bought Moderna, bought a large portion of Moderna, and I made a lot of money with Moderna. I went back to second vaccination and made a lot of money some more. So there's a lot of things that we just need to be paying attention to. I think that money talks all around us, but we've just got to open our ears and open our eyes to see what's transpiring around us.
You know what? You just said some things that I was writing some notes and was like, yeah, you're right. I know I had some Moderna, some stock, and didn't. And listen, I'm more into the real estate investment in terms of investing, but I do diversify, and I tell people that you just can't always have everything in one basket, right? But the
Absolutely.
stock market, there's definitely wealth in there, right? And I think for people who are joining us who may be new to being a part of this investment, whether it's real estate or even stock market, and tell us, what does that look like? How would one need to start investing if they wanted to do to get into excuse me, if they wanted to get into stock market and stock investing? How would that look for them?
Well, I'll tell you this. We're going to have a big Money Matters symposium. I'm going to do my next Money Matters June the 4th. We're going to open up registration this week. So I just want to throw that plug in.
Yay.
Please follow me, follow my platform, and we're going to open up registration for Money Matters. And we're going to be talking about stock. We're going to be talking about crypto. And we're going to be talking about credit and moving into business credit. But just to answer your question, one thing that I did, I had a old company that I worked for. I had an IRA with that company that was worth about maybe $1,900. It wasn't really a lot of money, but I had that money. I didn't want to pull the money out because I knew if I did, I'd get penalized and pay lots
Mhm.
of interest for it. So I wanted to roll it. And so what I did was I rolled that money into an E-Trade account that I had.
Mm.
And E-Trade allowed me to buy and sell what I wanted to. And also, those platforms like E-Trade, Fidelity, give you a lot of information, a lot of classes they do for free, a lot of things that I may not have understood. But because I'm a little geeky in nature regarding money, I like looking at my Yahoo Finance. I study that. And these are all free. This is all free stuff. To
Free
get an
stuff. Okay.
E-Trade account is free. To get
Mm.
a Fidelity account is free. You don't have to have money. You just can open it. You can open it and you just don't have to fund it right then. But
Yeah.
if you open it, you still have access to the platforms and to those classes. The internet, YouTube is free. And
Mm.
so you can go and get tons of information from those particular platforms. And I did. I started researching. I started researching, what the call letters and what all that meant and what those
Mhm.
terms meant. To buy on a limit, to buy at the end of the day, all of that stuff. I just started researching and beginning to teach myself. And with that $1,900, I think I flipped that in a year. I flipped it into like 7,000.
Okay, wait, Crystal, stop. You threw so many gems out here on us. Let's back up here now. So you telling us, number one, if we just go ahead and start educating ourselves just a little bit, it's like I said, it's free 99 out here on the World Wide Web through means of Google. I mean, you have YouTube, you have all these classes, and all people have to do is put a little time in order to understand it, or they could definitely they need to be in your event coming up. But at the same time, if they want to be able to at least have a knowledge base, they can start going ahead now and getting this information. And now, from what you're telling me, is that when you did this for yourself, you only had $1,900, y'all. Y'all did this
Yep.
$1,900, right?
Yep.
And by you just taking that necessary time out to just study the necessary steps as it relates to stocks and investments, you're $1,900, and you said a year, right?
In a year.
In 1 year, turned to 7,000.
Yeah.
So what's
And
so what's the
I'm
ROI?
telling you, it could have been more if I had more, but
Right.
I didn't have anything. But
That's 1,900 to turn into 7, though. That's what I'm saying. So what's the ROI on that? Return on investment, guys, is ROI. What's that ROI? Do you know that number?
no, I don't know it in my head, but let's see. I got my
And the
calculator.
reason I'm saying this is because, guys, sometimes we think that, you could have money and all these different things. You have money sitting over here. We're talking about money that can make you money, and all you did is put it in the right place at the right time, right? And so to make $1,900 into 7,000 in 1 year is amazing, because if you put your money in the bank account, not saying don't have an emergency savings, we'll have to talk about that for another day. What we're saying is to hold on to money beyond your emergency savings and maybe a little bit more. You made $7,000 in 1 year.
That's over 500%.
500%. That's what I need that number. Thank you. So we have over 500% return on investment, or ROI. So you got over 500% ROI in something that you're not going to see that type of percentage in the bank. What is the percentage in the bank right now? 1% in savings account?
For 1%, you might be able to. If you're getting 3%, you in a real good situation.
You're doing real good. You're right. So we're saying this to say a lot of people think that their money in the bank is the safest thing. But if you really think about it, are you really getting any type of ROI, on that? But what we're talking about today, for those who are just joining us, because I'm seeing some people who are joining us, is that budgeting. And we're talking about specifically right now within budgeting. Crystal is going through talking to us about the importance of how she went from $1,700 into $7,000 in 1 year with stock and investments. And so that's why it's important to really educate yourself on the importance of these type of platforms, because I think, to your point, is we're not educating ourselves enough. We think that we have a job, or we have some money with our 401k and those type of things, that we're good, right? But
I think that I'm sorry, I didn't.
You know what I'm saying? But what else can we do?
I mean, the education, I whenever I talk about budgeting, I always hear this one phrase: you can't budget broke. And I challenge that. I challenge that so often, because there's so many things that we can do for free. Whenever I talk to people and they tell me that they don't watch the news, I really, it hurts me, because there's so many things that people are hiding in plain sight. So much information that's hiding in plain sight. Nobody's trying to hide it. We just don't feel the need to get it. So watching the news is where I learned about investing in Moderna. Watching the news, and it's so many. Like I said, everybody has a phone that they are on. They are on this phone 18 hours a day, and that you can use this phone and make so much money for yourself, because you have so much access to everything with this phone. So education is free. And that's a part of something that you can, if you find ways, or if you gain information that give you ways to use what you have, to maximize what you have, then you can budget broke, or you won't be broke for long. So number one, when we talk about budgeting, go ahead. I'm sorry.
I'm going to say budget broke. Break that down for people when you say budget broke, because what people may be thinking is something totally different. So I want you just to go in a little deeper on what's budget broke. Does that mean I don't have any money, but I still need to budget? Or does that mean I need to take what little I have and still make it work?
Yeah, mostly people are talking about I'm living it from paycheck to paycheck. Uh, I've seen single mothers say, look, I have 5 kids. I'm just trying to feed people and keep rules over their heads. And, I really don't have anything extra.
Mm-hmm.
Besides my basic needs, I don't have anything extra. And so
Mm,
I would challenge that. A lot of times we don't have extra because number one, we don't budget. We do not plan.
yeah,
We
exactly.
do not sit down and we do not plan. I had a business. I was in a session and this business owner talked about how we shouldn't budget because when we budget, we put caps on God. And I raised my hand and I said, I don't mean to
Mhm.
challenge you, my sister. I love you. I said, but I can't go with that philosophy.
Right,
Every
me either.
business owner I know, every multimillionaire I know budgets. It's
Mhm.
even a profit and loss statement is a budget. We need to
Correct.
have a plan because that's all that is a plan. So you need to
Mhm.
have a plan. And then number two, if you have people that you owe, you need to communicate.
Mm,
Unfortunately, we come from a culture that doesn't
mm.
like confrontation.
Yes, yes.
And so we need to break ourselves out of that and we need to confront. So I always tell people when you're dealing with the IRS, what you don't want to do is you don't want to deal with the IRS on the defense. You always want to deal with creditors on the offense. You always want to hold the ball when you budget. I
Mhm.
don't want I don't want to start thinking about these things when I've given someone else my power. So when I'm in
Mm,
repossession, I've given somebody else my power.
that's
When
right.
I'm in foreclosure, I've given someone else my power. But if
Mhm.
I still hold the ball, if I'm still in a place where I can manage, then
Mhm.
I still have the power to make some decisions. So while I still have the power to make some decisions in my budgeting, I want to communicate with creditors. During the
Mm.
pandemic, although I didn't lose my job, I called up people and I said, "Hey, look, I can't pay this bill." And they said, "Oh, we understand." I said, "You do? Wait a minute. You telling me I don't have to pay it?" They said, "No, don't worry about it. We'll give you 9 months credit or 9 months where you don't have to pay it." What? So that means I have 9 months. And then I said, wait a minute, are you going to charge me interest on that money? Oh, no, we understand, Miss Frazier. This is a pandemic. We're just trying to help people. You're just trying to help me? Wait a minute. I appreciate you trying to help me. So what I
Right.
did with the money that I saved by way of communication, I saved money. I paid down my car note.
Mhm.
I saved money. It allowed me to put more money in my E-Trade account so I can play the stock market some more. So communication is a wonderful thing when you hold the ball.
Correct.
So communicate with your creditors.
Yes.
Communicate, ask them, hey, can I lower my interest rate? Hey, I'm struggling this month. Can I delay my payment? And I promise you, when creditors see you trying to actively develop plans, they are willing to work with you. So that's
Exactly.
another great way of budgeting.
Okay, so we have a lot of comments coming in. I'm going to try to get through all of these. Thank you so much, Ms. Sawyer, for all these tags. We appreciate these people joining us. Now, you said something earlier, which I'm like some people. I don't watch news because it's too depressing. I think Tina and some other people said the same thing. However, what I do is go back into, like you mentioned earlier, I have on my phone certain apps and things of news and
Absolutely.
stock and stuff. So that I get my information because news is too depressing for me. It's always going to be similar. The same first 5 to 7 minutes is always something just too negative. So I don't need to listen to that. I just guard my ear gates with that. But as far as information is concerned, to your point, it is some things that's in plain sight that is given out on the news that we can may miss and or through reading and or educating ourselves as to what's the stock doing, what has happened in the day, what things that we can do via apps that I gain information and knowledge. So I thank you for helping me see this in a different light in terms of the news. Now, I think Tina also mentioned that the Bible also speaks about budgeting in Luke 14:28 through 30. And so budgeting is not a bad thing. We're supposed to plan, we're supposed to budget. Again, I was
Absolutely.
talking about the t-shirt I have on is coins, and it talks about Proverbs 31:16, which talks about 16:30. It talks about 31:16, it talks about that she bought a field. How you buy a field? You have to buy a field. You have to have money, right? Your coins, right? And that is the beauty of why budgeting is important. Like you mentioned earlier, in order for you to be able to invest in the stock market and do some different things, pay your car down, you had to talk to your creditors to have that conversation to be able to put you in a position to be able to have extra money to do that, right? To invest in you and your future. To your point, oftentimes when it comes down, even as we relate this to housing, people get in situations where they can't pay either whether you're renting and or buying, and you think that not communicating is going to be the
Right.
best way. And I've seen people, even from the rental side, that will just not communicate. And I'm saying, how can I help you talk to your that landlord or that owner if I don't know what's going on? And then it gets to a point where then we have to evict you, and now every sudden I hear it all. And I'm not saying that in not within regards, we're talking about budgeting, but you can't expect people to help you if they don't know your situation. There's programs, like you said, during this pandemic that I share with people. I say, listen, guys, there's money out here. You just need to talk to your landlords and set up a strategy on how to stay in your house. You cannot think that they're just going to let you stay for free because, yes, everybody has been affected by this, but there's funding to help you stay in your house, but you got to talk to your landlord. And even when you mentioned communicating with your mortgage brokers, there's money. They'll put all of that on the back end of your payments. But hey, if that's what's going to work, that's fine. You have to do what's best for you and your household, but talking is the best way to start that. And so I think even when you mentioned budgeting broke and helping people understand that, okay, we're now 2 years into this new normal. We're now, some of these programs are ending. Some of these things are no longer there. We may not ever see this kind of money come again in our lifetime, right? That's okay too. We may or may not. The point is moving forward, how do we now start to look at budgeting, and what tips can you give us to be able to start saying today, based on where I am, what can I do practically to start being able to invest?
Practically, like I said, education, education, education.
Okay.
You've got to maximize and to your point, like you, I get so many notifications on my phone, with just different things that are happening in the news, different things that are happening in the stock market.
Mm-hmm.
So the point of acquiring information, however you need to acquire it, just make sure that you are getting some kind of access to information of what's going on in the world. Right. And also, like I said, maximize on all these different platforms. And also, I almost hate to say this, but I am going to say this. We talked about, a lot of times in budgeting, we talk about reducing credit. Mm-hmm. But we're in a situation right now with gas going up. And of course, the president has released the oil reserves. And so we've kind of hit a place where we're leveling out on gas prices. As soon as that ends, these gas prices will go back up. Mm-hmm. And I made the statement in my budgeting class. I said, if we did not have credit, a lot of people wouldn't be able to float this gas bill. Mm-hmm. So I think I was at the gas pump the other day and I swiped my Shell card, and immediately the Lord said to me, he said, there are some people that need access to this kind of credit line in order to be even able to float a gas bill during this time. So we need to make sure that we're understanding our credit. What makes up our credit scores? Mm-hmm. How do we improve our credit scores so that now we can have access to credit lines?
That's right.
And then begin to manage them from a wise way.
Right.
But there are a lot of times I thank God for the amount of credit that I have access to.
Right.
By way of education, mm-hmm. and by way of me being diligent. But if I never took the steps, or if I felt like credit was a bad thing, mm-hmm. then I would never have access to those things. So I want people to get out of the mind frame that credit is a bad thing. Credit is not a bad thing. Ignorance is a bad thing.
There you go.
Credit is not a bad thing.
And
so we need to
no, go ahead.
Go ahead. We need to make sure that we're educated on how to use our credit from a wise standpoint.
Correct.
And so, yeah, I just wanted to say that make sure that educate yourselves on credit. How do we get our credit scores up? How do we improve that so we have access to
Right.
money that we may need to be able to use in the short time, in the short period of time.
And you're right. I think we have been taught, well, we number one, we weren't taught financial literacy. I think last week I shared some statistics that I think only like 17% of the people in the US at a high school level had one semester of financial literacy. 17%.
Yeah,
And so when I looked at the number of statistics, and again, this is why this is such a big topic, financial literacy, credit, all of this impacts so much that so many day-to-day activities such as buying a house, getting a new car, getting the best rates, right? Getting the access to funding, like she's mentioned, business credit, personal credit. To your point, when you can be able to be a good steward of what you have, you'll be able to see way differently and be able to navigate differently because of your diligence in stewarding your money, right? Your coins or money. And so, one of the things that I've learned over the years, my mother, growing up, I've shared this story with people, but for those who don't know, my mother did not let me get when I was at D Jackson State, she did not let me get a loan out, right? And everybody was like, this is when the day when how y'all would be at the student union and everybody just got a credit card and got all this money, right? I came home one day and told my mom, I was like, Mom, I'm about to go get this credit card, da da da. And she said, No, you're not. I said, But Mama, they giving them away. She said, Who giving what away? They're not giving nothing away. You don't have a job. You're a freshman. What you need a credit card for? I said, Well, Mama, they giving these away. I should just get it because they giving it. All my friends had it. She said, But can you pay for it? And when she said that, it clicked on me. I ain't had no job. How am I gonna be paying for this credit card? And so my mother, even though again I'm in college, I get it. She prevented me from making a mistake that I had no knowledge of. And it wasn't until I understood how to understand money, how to budget, that I could be able to deal with credit. I tell people from the real estate standpoint, buying a house is the best investment you can one of the best investments. Why? Because if something ever happened, you can be able to go into your house. And as long as you've been paying down on your house, even if it's $25 a month, you can tap into a HELOC. And those who don't know what a HELOC is basically a line of credit in your house that you can be able to access with a lower interest than that 22% credit card that you may be holding on to. And to your point, if you have this access, you can say, guess what? I'm in a financial situation. Let me call and run back and tell my creditor, the lender, I need to be able to help me out during this short time. Now, this is not going to be something you want to continue to do for years and years if that's what you want, but because you still have to pay it back. It's just in a different it's just done differently. It's called a second, if you ever heard of that. And so then it helps you when you do have these type of situations. Not only that, when you're ready to be and have extra money outside of padding, again, I'm big on speaking on making sure you have enough in an emergency setting. I think I told y'all one time that when I was unemployed, I was unemployed for 6 months and my bills still got paid. Now, again, I budgeted for this. I was saving for this. Such a time as this, that when something would have happened, I had enough money to be able to make sure all my bills was paid. This is, again, things that I just started learning over the years through understanding finances and the value of credit and making sure that I had the money to do it. Now, I'm not saying everything's always been perfect. I've had a situation in real estate where I lost everything. My whole portfolio was gone. My credit went from 700, well, it was like 780 at the time, and it plummeted. American Express called me and said, we cutting your card off. I was like, whoa, but I'm saying that to say things happen, but it wasn't until I understood financing, how to budget, that when I came back, now American Express throwing so many cards at me, I'm like, quit calling me. Now they black card. Now they sending me cards every day. I'm like, look, you're doing something right when you get 820. The bank saying, what do you want, Brandy? What can we get for you now? What do you want us to finance? Literally, my lender called me the other day. I have not shared this with people. My lender called me the other day. He said, Brandy, do you realize that you paid off X amount of dollars in 5 years? That I could basically, guys, and not bragging, but boasting on just letting you all get the glory through God, that I could cut a check today, pay this building off, and it'd be completely funded and debt free. Literally in 5 years. because not on just on something I did, I'm just that good, but it's the goodness of God paying over the amount, being diligent with what I've had in my hand, and saying again, my shirt, buying a field and being able to make that money, that field, be able to do something else for me. But you budget for these events. You budget to make sure that you're in a position to do that, to be a blessing to other people, to sow into their lives, to be able to do that. That's why budgeting is so important. It's not that we're trying to tell you how to spend your money. And that's one thing that I think most people think when they hear people tell you, come go to a budgeting class or come do this and learn how to do this, is that you like, are you telling me how to spend my money? First of all, we're not telling you, we're trying to suggest how to be able to make you be able to not only take that little that you have and maximize it to even way better than what you even would have had from that little. That little can turn into so much if you do what you're supposed to do with it. Now, I don't know where that came from. I don't know how I got it down that way, but
I love it. I love it.
the anointing is obviously in here because I feel it. I'm excited, right? I'm excited that
I
it's
love
Good
it.
Friday. The power that we have on the that lives in Jesus is on us, but we can take that same power and we can be able to do something else. A lot of people are getting paid today. A lot of people have a lot of great fun today on this Good Friday. We're just helping you understand how to be able to take what you have and maximize it for what is down the road.
And I think, too, one of the things that I love is that you've got to be honest with yourself. The thing I teach about budgeting causes you, like I said, to confront where you are and really take an honest picture about it. And even if you think that a budgeting class is going to help you, or even if you think that a budgeting class is going to tell you what to do with your money, the bottom line is whatever you've been doing with your money ain't been working. So you might want to try something different.
Glad you
And
said it, not me.
that's just honest. I sometimes I get in trouble for being just that honest, but I'm just that honest. Whatever you've been doing ain't working. So let's put you on a path that's going to really give you some options. And one of the things that I love about what you said was that you live a life, God is, by being a good steward, God has allowed you to live a life that has options. And that's what I love. I love options. I like to eat where I want to eat. I like to drive what I want to drive. I like to wear what I like to have options. And so being a good steward has afforded you a life of options. I also wanted to say this one thing about budgeting. I'm so glad you talked about Proverbs 31, because a lot of times we take that Proverbs 31 woman and we talk about it and we relegate her to the Mother's Day program. We relegate her to the the Sisterhood Day. But Proverbs 31 woman, she was so wise. And she was so wise, and it's not a pattern of a woman that all of us live up to in fullness. But one of the things about the Proverbs 31 woman was it talks about how she really ministered to not just her husband, not just her children, but also to her community. And the Bible talks about that he's given us the power to get wealth, to establish his covenant. So it's so good to have platforms like this because he's given us power to get wealth. He's given us wealth, not just so we could harbor it amongst ourselves, but that we can use this knowledge. We can even use this resource to now impart and help our communities come up, help those of us that are in our tribes, those of us that are in our families. I wanted to and really put our children, oh my God, I can't stress this enough, put our children in better situations.
Thank you.
Put our children in better situations, making wiser decisions. One of the things that really helped me, if anybody knows my story or followed me, I lost my son last year. And now I am a believer in insurance. I'm probably over-insured.
Me too.
I'm just a believer in insurance. Never thought that I would have had to cash in an insurance policy on my 20-year-old son, but it happened. And when it happened, the conversations that I had with the funeral home, the insurance people, really allowed me to see that there was a great deficit in where people had insurance to plan. So insurance is another huge thing. It is something, if you have a job, I admonish you, take advantage of the insurance programs on your job.
Thank you.
Now, I'm a believer. I don't just have life insurance on my job because anything can happen to my job. So I
Yeah.
also have a life insurance policy outside of my job. I have
Yeah.
a policy outside of my job. I have a policy on my children.
Yep.
When my daughter aged out of my as being a rider on my insurance
Right.
policy, I bought an insurance policy for her where I'm the beneficiary, and I put my granddaughter on my
Mhm.
insurance policy.
That's
But
good. That's good.
uh, all of this is sometimes you have access to free insurance.
3.
Make sure that you're getting the insurance policies if you have credit cards, if you have insurance that you
Mhm.
can put on your home, if you have insurance that you can put on yourself by
That's
way
right.
of uh by way of
Awesome.
policies that are afforded to you
Mhm.
through your company. Please
Yeah.
make sure that you take advantage because you'll never know. I
Yeah.
thank God when
Thank
my son passed, what we did, I had enough money to do everything I wanted to do for him. I had a huge memorial. I did so much that my son would probably say,
That's good.
my son would probably say, "You're doing too much. Please stop." But all the money that people gave to me
Amen.
because they love me, because they wanted to make sure I was okay, we were able to put all that money in a scholarship fund.
Look at God.
So
Now,
off the bat, off the
woo!
bat, I raised $2,000 for a scholarship fund in my son's name.
Amen.
But
So
that
no
was because I
GoFundMe?
was prepared.
You didn't need a GoFundMe? You didn't need a
No GoFundMe.
Okay, I'm joking. I'm being funny. But what I'm saying is that that's information that all you had to do is just you had the insurance. That's all I'm saying. I'm not being facetious. I'll do that, but I'm saying that to
No,
say like I don't have I think that we just need to get insurance. Like you, I'm overinsured. When I worked in corporate America, I had an insurance plan with them. I took care of that. And we still paid for and me and my husband have another policy because again, I do a lot. I have multiple properties. My husband owns a business. I own a business. We got these children. Y'all know they're in private school, so it's expensive. And so we have
I
to
know that's the
uh,
truth.
we gotta get we overinsured probably, but the point is when my mother passed, I noticed the lack of stuff like this not supposed to be how this is supposed to be. And I got in I've researched what to do. And so now we got enough policies for everything. I made sure that there's a as a rider on our house. A lot of times you all don't know that if somebody come over to your house and your children just outside playing, right? And they get hurt, their families could sue you because they was over here playing. My insurance agent told me that. I said, "You got me messed up, really?" She was like, "Yes." I was like, "Put that ride on here." The rider protects you that if something like that, Lord forbid, happens, guess what? They shield your house. They make sure
Yeah.
that nothing happens to your house. You'll still pay out that child that got hurt, but guess what? They can't come after your house. And that's information that again we don't talk about. We're not talking about openly enough because again, it's just something that, well, I can do that later. Well, sometimes later is today. That's the whole purpose of why we're here. We're talking about budgeting and how you can be able to use your money to be able to
Yeah.
help in the event of even an emergency.
And those insurance policies with your job, you'll be surprised. A dollar in change will buy you so much
So
insurance.
much.
I have an extra policy on my husband. But one of the things that I noticed when I talked
Ladies,
to
get
my
that
job
policy on
about
your
my
husband.
insurance,
I'm just saying.
I'm sorry, what you say?
Yes, ladies, make sure you take that policy out on your husbands. I'm just saying. Okay, go ahead.
Absolutely. I always tell people, it's probably not good. I have a crazy sense of humor. I said, you grieve a lot better when you get paid.
I'm just
And that's
saying.
just the honest truth. You
Baby
grieve a
daddy,
lot better when
I'm
you get
just
paid.
saying, just make sure, ladies, y'all got these babies by these men. I'm just being honest. You will breathe better with a check. I'm just saying. I
Yeah.
mean, you might not have to like them right now, but if you doing it for your kids, it's no need for your kids to be struggling. And yes, he was the father. Maybe he never did turn out and give you any child support, any dollar. But guess what? Now that he gone, guess what? He paying it in full. He's advanced that money. That's all I'm saying. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Well, when I had these conversations with, like, when I went to my job and they're scrambling trying to get me this money, because the situation regarding my son's death was a little bit anyway, but they were scrambling trying to give me the money, and I said it was so good to say you don't have to do that. I already got my insurance policy over here. That's gonna take it. Whenever you get that, send me the check. And they was like, what? They didn't understand it because they had never had a situation like that. Because people are usually approaching that one policy
Yep.
with a detrimental need. Well, no, when you have other situations that you have set up, it
Mhm.
kind of it shields you from stress.
Mhm.
So I had other situations set up around me that shielded me, where I said, no, you don't have to worry about that. Send me that check when you get it,
Mm.
and send it to me. Don't send it to the funeral home. It's not their money. It's my money. And I cut a check to the funeral home. And even when I talked to the funeral home, they was like, I can't believe you paid for all of this. We usually have people that are setting up payment plans. I didn't need that. But it
Mm.
all comes from good planning and wise planning, and making sure that you capitalize on situations that are not necessarily straining your budget or your paycheck. If you take that $5 and change out of your paycheck before you even see it, you'll never know the difference that it'll make if you need that $100,000 eventually in the case of somebody's death. And then when you get the $100,000, it will set you up so
Whew.
far in advance. One
Thank
thing that I did, I got paid. I was able to pay off so much credit. Credit score shot to the moon. I
you.
mean, you able to pay off credit, able to pay off other things, able to have, a nice vacation. I mean, whatever you want to do with it.
Whatever you
But
want to do.
it's just able to put you in a better situation. I often tell my daughter, don't kill me. But if you do, but if something happened to me,
You say,
you gonna you gonna get paid.
saying. I'm like you. I'm like they gonna be good, but wait. But I definitely agree. We're laughing. It's funny because I think at the end of the day, most of the time we hear about this topic, it's so gloom and doom. And I'll be honest, I get it. But at the end of the day, it's no need to be stressed, and there's no need to be, like you said, grieving in debt. Let's just be honest. You can grieve a lot better when you got a check. But again, this is really about budgeting, and we talked about earlier. We talked about investing in the stock and how just that little by either joining her in her class coming up, because I know we're overtime, but it's been just such a great conversation. You can join her in her budgeting class and start to understand the key benefits of budgeting. One of the things in the Coins Legacy Keeper is what I pay, and I'm not as deep as Crystal, so she is definitely the expert here. But one of the things that I realized that even when I start talking to people about this part of what they pay, people really don't know what they pay, because even though you can have all these accounts, if you don't know where your money is going, you really are in a situation where you're like, I know I got to be paid, but I'm not budgeting right. And that's one of the reasons how I got into budgeting even more, even under the brand on Coins, is because yes, it's talking about money, but we need to understand where our money is going. And so, ladies, gentlemen who that are watching, take time. Every month is one of the things that I look at. Every month I sit down and I look at our budget. I look at see what's going in, what's going out, and then budget for where I want my money to go. I stored my money to a point where it's almost as if it's zero at the end of the month. And what that means is that I do not have any what most people say, I got some extra money. It's not extra if you put it somewhere, if you store it and tell it where to go. It's extra in the sense if that's your account that says it's my extra money. Then if you got an extra account, whether this is all that goes into this account, you can spend it how you want to, then that's where it needs to go. I tell people all the time that in order to even when people say, well, I want to get into investment, tell them you have to understand money. You have to understand how this is going to work and where your money is going to come. Because if you sit like me at the beginning of the year and you're responsible for over, I think, $22,000 in property taxes, just property tax, maybe 24,000, I can't remember. You got to cut a check for $24,000. A lot of people be like, "What you mean I'm about to cut a check for $24,000?" This is the property taxes that you owe. This is what you owe because you own this property. And if I can't cut a check for $24,000 and budget all of that money appropriately, they're going to basically take my whole portfolio. And this is not, and then even for the people that I manage for their properties, we have to cut checks for. The point is, you have to be a good steward of what you have in your possession. So budgeting is key. You have to sit down every month. I don't know when you want to do it, end of the month, beginning of the month, whatever makes you feel better. But you got a budget. Write it down. I started out writing stuff down. That's why I got a pencil now. I started off with a notebook, and I just literally learned to say, okay, if I made, that's for easy number's sake, $1,000. $1,000 is all I made for the month. I got to pay all these bills out of this. What do I have left? If I have anything left, it doesn't go to savings. Does it go to this whatever extra budget? If that's what you got to do, start there. But either way, start learning how to be able to steward your money tell your money where to go, so that at the end of the day,
Yeah.
you are in a better position for investing in the stock market, investing in certain things that you want for vacations, whatever that looks like for you and your household. You want to make sure that you are in a better position financially. Now, guys, we've been talking a lot. If there's any questions for Crystal, please drop it. That's you can definitely do that. Crystal, remind them where you're going to be at that forum again, so we can have that dropped as well.
Yes, we have Money Matters. We did our first Money Matters in 2019, where we talked about, and we did it around our women in wealth. I had a whole symposium about women in wealth for the whole year. And we talked about the wealth of their soul, the wealth of their relationships, but the wealth of their money. We did that at the Hilton Garden Inn in Flowood in 2019. We're going to do one again. This is going to be for men and women, and we're going to move kind of with the times. The last time I did it, I talked about couponing and personal credit and all of this stuff. But the times now that we're moving more into digital money. We're moving more into stock. And absolutely, for those entrepreneurs, we need to make sure that you understand how to acquire business credit. And so
Mm-hmm.
we're having Latanya Deloach, who's the crypto queen. She's going to join us. Jeremy Graham, who is a credit consultant. He's going to be there, and myself, and we're going to take that whole day. This is going to be June the 4th. From 10 to 4, we're going to have a lunch. We're going to do door prizes. Anybody that knows me, gifts of my love languages. I love giving the stuff away. It's going to be $75. That's all we're charging is $75. And we're only going to take 75 people. So we're going to open up that registration this weekend. Registration, hopefully, or this week is going to open up. And just follow my platform. You absolutely want to make sure that you're there. Like I said, it's only for 75 people. I like to keep my numbers low because I'm a touchy-feely person. I like to make sure that people are getting it. I like to talk to people, and so I can't talk to 500 people. So I just want to talk to 75. And
All
so,
right, so now, guys, follow Crystal on her platform. She will be definitely there's gonna be an amazing conference, guys. And for $75, I know I'll be honest, sometimes Jackson gets a bad rap for events and things because people say, oh, that's too much. But y'all will go to these other cities, and guess what? It's thousands of dollars. Let's just be honest. It's thousands just to get in the room, okay? She's charging $75 that's going to give you a wealth of knowledge to basically put you on a new platform. You all need to be in this room June 4th. Thank you, Sunshine, for that link and dropping that for me so I can see it on this particular platform. But guys, for $75 to know how to budget, how to talk about crypto, we're talking about business credit. As an entrepreneur, I understand you got to have all these things. You got to have all these things in place, guys, because it's important. One of the things I'm going to do is I'm going to drop a link with just a basic quick start budget. It's part of the Coins Journal, just as a courtesy, and it just is just a PDF, guys, a free FREE. There's no money, but it's a free version on just how to start writing out your money. I think a lot of times we don't know where to start, and where you have to start is through ink. You got to write stuff down, and you can see it a little different. And so that's just something I'm going to give away, just because I feel like, to Crystal's point, we got to start learning how to budget. But guess what? You definitely want to be here June 4th for her event. Definitely one of the things that we're going to be gearing up, when I say we, the Coins Legacy, we're going to be also talking about how to start making sure people can get this journal completed. One of the things that, to Crystal's point, is that if you're in an emergency and you need to know what that policy is and you need to know where to find information, you can't be scrambling looking for it, and the emergency is here. So we're going to carve time out in a free event, not free event, excuse me, an event such as like Crystal's, where we're going to actually come in, and you're going to come in with your journal, and you're going to have all of that, an opportunity to get it done. But we're also going to be talking about a little bit about how do we continue to look at maximum ways as it relates to real estate investments, if that's one of the things that you want to do. So Crystal, thank you so much for being here. Thank you for the gems that you dropped. Is there anything else you want to share with people before you?
I would love, Brandy, like I said, thank you for allowing me to be here. I would love to have another conversation with you, especially concerning real estate, and how we get our children in their first business using their first home ownership loan. And I would love to have a conversation with you about that. Hopefully we can do that on Facebook and see how we can build businesses with our children. Especially 20 years old. Let's start them in their first business. Don't buy your own home. Use your first home loan and get you a multifamily unit, make you some
We
money.
go. And
Uh,
that's exactly what my kids gonna do. So yes, we're gonna talk. So we're
absolutely.
gonna talk.
I would love that. And also, I would love for you to be a part of the Money Matters event. We'll talk more about that. And I also have a budget that I do. Mine's is a little bit more in depth, but it's an Excel budget. I can send that to you and you
Yeah.
can give it away, post it on your platform for free.
Sure. Okay. Perfect. So for those that like paper, that's like Excel, definitely you have options. Now, again, this is one of the benefits of obviously coming to these type of events. And again, we're just doing this to be good stewards. A lot of people charging for a lot of stuff, and so literally just to be here, definitely tag people. This is what this platform is for, to help educate us in the realm of financing, stocks, insurance, as well as real estate. And so that's what the Coins brand is really evolving into, to help people understand that this is what we need for such a time as this. So thank you so much, Crystal, for being here. I appreciate you being here. I'm going to drop you down. Guys, thank you all so much. Thank you, Sunshine, for being my admin a little bit today for me, because she was amazing. I appreciate her for being tagging these people and definitely giving you all pointers for that. So guys, thank you so much. I hope you all enjoyed it. We're going to definitely see you all we should be back next Wednesday. Thank you for being able to shift on this Friday, to be able to, on this Good Friday, to be able to offer you a wealth of information as it relates to your budgeting. I hope you learned a lot. Definitely let us know how we can be able to be of service to you for other future events. And I look forward to talking with you all next week. Have an amazing Good Friday. Bye-bye.